of Grown Up Carnival was you that year. And it stayed with me. It has stayed with me the rest of my life. Anyway, welcome to you, David Rudder. Thank you so much for being here with us.
My pleasure.
So you're in Trinidad you're here for the Taste of Carnival?
Yes, I'm doing a concert at the Soundforge on Carnival Monday night.
Right.
So that's my.
So how has it been being away from home during these COVID times?
Well, it's been lockdown for such a long time. It feels like a catharsis right now.
Yeah.
So I think that's the reason why I'm not able to sleep. I think my body's just saying, let me take it as much as I can.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally hear you. I mean, I totally hear you. I was in Trinidad in December for the first time in 2 years, and it's very hard to describe what it actually felt like, but it just felt like a completeness. I don't know. It was. So I'm going to take you back. Let's start with 1986. You'd been singing with Charlie's Roots for several years by this time. What made you decide to strike out on your own, so to speak, in 1986?
Actually, it started in 1985. I wanted to test myself in a different environment, which was Calypso Monarch, Calypso tent, Calypso tent. So I went to an audition for the people who don't actually belong to a tent. And that was in 85. And judges found that this Calabash and Jump Up was this big song. But they found that Calabash had an old melody behind it. So they said, well, you're free to come back next year. And the following year was the year with Bahia Given the Hammer. So the rest is history.
The rest is history. Well, I'm looking at you on the stage and you were so confident.
Yeah, well, I've been doing that since I was 10 years old, And I kind of, because I worked in the tents and in the recording studio, I had to, as a background vocalist, I knew the Calypso world inside out. So I just knew what I had to do to achieve what I achieved. That's the thing about it. After years of learning what's going on, it was just to go and execute it now and be very clear. Be clear to each other, and that's what happened.
Mm-hmm. And so those must have been very heady times. Just to remind everybody, it was the year of the Hammer and Bahia Girl, and you won the trifecta, Calypso Monarch, Road March, and Young King. So that must have been, for you, an incredible moment.
It was very strange. I felt nothing for a while. It's like, something big has happened, but it takes a little time to kind of seep in.
Yeah.
What really, I think what woke me up was I remember seeing Sparrow as a youngster coming into Belmont. All the kids would be around Sparrow's car, and you would just be Sparrow and you drive off, and I started to visit schools, and suddenly young girls fainting, and it was the first time in Trinidad it happened. Because in Trinidad is not a place that like he's a big star, and that's faint or something. It was like, well, like Sparrow, like Marsha, So for the first time now we had this strange phenomenon of people fainting and stop the show, So I said to myself, oh boy, I'm in trouble.
I'm in trouble. Were you in trouble?
No, it's a good trouble. It's like this is more than I expected,
Mm-hmm.
And then the record companies keep calling, and so it was just a crazy time, very crazy time. But came back on it now. It was magic.
How did you keep your head on during that time?
Well, I've been singing since I was 10 years old professionally. So, that was in my 30s. So it was 21 years. You kind of get to know how to move, and even though that was took a little time. That particular thing took a little time to really come to me in its fullness. But I had a kind of preparation for that anyway, so that helped quite a bit.
Mm. Mm. So how do you describe yourself, David? When you talk about yourself, how do you describe yourself? Are you a calypsonian? Are you a songwriter? Are you a lyrics man? How do you describe yourself?
All, you know. I'm a songwriter. You know, my genre is Calypso. That's the bed that I look upon. But at the end of the day, I'm just a songwriter.
Mm. Yeah, I love how you say that. That sounds so modest. I'm just a songwriter. I'm not sure what that means exactly.
Well, I come from a language to tell stories, and I just happen to try to tell the story in a different way. You know, sometimes it doesn't feel like the normal, but people accept us as Calypso should be. It should be. I feel Calypso should be how you react to something, you know, and how you tell the story.
But you were, there was something new about what you were doing.
Yes.
David,
Yes.
I'm wondering, so did you set out to do something new, or did you
No.
realize what you were doing was kind of revolutionary?
I knew it was different because I would always, even as a youngster, I would listen to popular songs on the radio at that time. I would say, if it was me, I'd say so, you know. So I always had that thing in my not criticizing, more critiquing something I've heard, but you know, like I always felt that I could do something that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way I think. My brain operates in a different way, you know. We write about Lord Charles and his passing. I would write about the hammer that he used to use to shoot the pan as a metaphor for his life and our life, you know. So it was just another way of seeing and feeling things. And that I guess is probably something natural. Mm-hmm. Somewhere in the genes of my parents, so you know, I just think and see things in that way.
So this is you've come up to what I wanted to ask you. Is this how you think when you're writing a song? How is it that what's the process for you?
Sometimes I create a melody, and then at the last minute I create a lyric to the melody. Sometimes it's vice versa, you know. And sometimes a lot of times we have some of the best poets in Trinidad. I'm talking about the man in the street, man and woman in the street, you know. They would say things that, and I would say, that's a heavy statement, you know. And then I would write a song around that statement. You know, I always point to the story of the long time band. The long time band was created because I heard a lady say, "I'm going to wine like I've never kissed me."
Yes.
And I said that, you know, the influence of the church and society is something else. So that level of whining that will break out of that mood. It's fantastic, you know. I can't let that go just so. So I created a song around it called the Long Time Band. Mm. So I create, the creation comes in different ways. There's no special thing. I know though that people say they go by the sea and they write, and, you know, I can't go by the sea and write. That's to kind of clear out my head. I've been a crowd down in Woodford Square and write 5 songs. And you know, it's, you know, because the amount of things passing, lyrics passing, you know, that's how I guess I'm kind of wrong side kind of guess.
A wrong side kind of, I'm not sure what that means.
Well, the way I see things sometimes is just different.
Yeah.
You know, that's all.
Mm. But it's a gift though, no?
I suppose so. But you know, people ask, I said, oh, how did you come up with that? How did you do that? Why, how did you say that? You know, and I said, I don't know. It's my spirit.
Mm. So I think I just want to tell people that right now you are at Kaiso Blues Cafe, right in the heart of things, just so, because there's a little background noise that we're hearing. But so anyway, I appreciate that this is utter madness asking you to do an interview on Carnival Saturday. But I thought it would be wonderful to, just have you speak today, especially as we're showing the film as well. And so do you have, we're on the question of inspiration. And so are you more like a sponge, but a sponge that has figured out how to filter everything out to get to the core of what it is you're trying?
Yes, that's a perfect example. I think they hit it on the head right there. I'm like a sponge, and then I from more than information, things come. Sometimes I say, why did I write that? You know, and then I realized, oh, 2 years ago, so and so, so and so. And it just took that a moment to manifest.
But I want to go back to this idea that you were creating something that was quite new, because one of the things, based on my own observations, obviously, and I'm not a sociologist or a cultural commentator, but one of my own observations is that one of the things we struggle with in Trinidad is innovation, creative innovation. And so, sometimes I think, like, why doesn't a shark and bake have a different kind of sauce? Or why doesn't the shark, you know what I mean? Like there are a kind of, we reach a particular stage of creation, and then that can be where things remain.
Right.
And I feel as though with you, what you were doing was innovating within an established art form, which is not something we see that often. I mean, can you speak about that?
Well, 86 is a perfect example. People got, after I won the crown, people got scared because they felt like we are not accustomed to this. We had a certain style. This is what we expected. This is what we was going to happen. And then you come with this strange thing now that turns everything upside down. So there was that backlash. I think it changed after 87, Calypso music and madness and songs. And then Panama, Rally Rock University, the long time band. Suddenly people say, well, it's different, but we could deal with that too. And I think that sort of reassured people that change is good.
In a way, it sort of helps to explain what drew you and Minshall together. But what did draw you and Minshall together? How did that happen?
Well, we were playing music, providing music for the band. And Pelham Gordon was the head leader of the band. One day he said, let me do a tune for a band. That was Jungle Fever. And I said, sure, because I was writing my own songs. And here I was in a band. So it was kind of like a no-brainer, So we did this song called Jungle Fever, just purely of our whim. And then suddenly, like, the whole history of the Shantwell singer for the Carnival band became a kind of, we manifested it in the form of Charlie's Roots. People expected us to write a song for Minshall's band, and it just took off from there, Part of that strange, esoteric kind of journey. So I just accepted that.
But was there any creative sparking for you in terms of Minshall, or did the two things happen quite separately, and then
it happens that separately, and then it became I think that if we found out what the band was about, I would write something to try to suit that, It started off as just pure incident, a sweet accident, like I call it.
Mm-hmm. And so going back now, so early on, what were, I mean, obviously they may have changed, and so I'd love to hear what they are now, but what were your creative influences early on? What were you listening to? What were you reading? What were you looking at?
I was listening to everything, because I grew up in the era of two radio stations, Radio 610 and Radio Trinidad. So it was Clarence Prasad, Lata Mangeshkar, and Uno Ross, Mikey Sparrow, Classica. Everything you can think about, those radio stations that provide. Oh, there's nothing else for you. You can't do like now. We probably have 40 stations. So people are shut off. Some people are still one station and that's it.
Mm.
You know, not knowing what's going on. We had a kind of advantage because we're exposed to all different kinds of music and entertainment. So that started the whole thing right there.
Mm-hmm. But were you particularly drawn to any one thing, and any one specific thing?
No, I was just drawn to music. You know, I listened to Paul Simon. I was listening to Richie Havens, or Fela Kuti, Nigeria, and so that's one thing. Trinidad had a kind of interesting vibe where music of the world would play in blocks and everything, like Fela Ransom, Bango de Bango, all these guys who were famous. We used to be playing that music on the fêtes and so on, house parties, as we say. So it was always that kind of society that absorbed a lot of music. Mm-hmm. And it manifested in a new form of Calypso, new style. When the Latin era came about, instead of here Blakey and Sparrow singing about Maria, a little change in it, Latin change to the music. So they always had that kind of vibe, but it will always come back to what it is, the strongest, a different strain of Calypso. Mm-hmm. It will always be a Calypso at the end of the day. But not attempting to be something else, just accept it. Oh, this is a Latin influence here. Let's absorb that and create a new cell, new style of Calypso.
Mm-hmm. What do you listen to these days?
I still listen to a lot of music from the world. Once I feel there's something that attracts me, I listen to it. Listen to everything. I always tell people, listen to everything. Even in the simplest form, something could teach you something. Sometimes I would say, I would tell my job to be very minimal. Don't try to overdrum. Just stay in the basic part. And you could feel how strong the song is. Mm-hmm. So, and that's by listening to something that's very simple and in its simplicity, there's a certain energy. I look at the like dance hall. I watch a bass player in a dance hall, doom, 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 doom. That's only playing. But the energy he put into those few notes that he has, like he's playing for his life, So had I not opened myself up to this kind of thing, I wouldn't recognize why it has that quality, even in its simplicity.
So are you deconstructing?
I deconstruct the construct. Yeah.
Mm. And is it that Gabriel Garcia Marquez always used to say that he couldn't read what he had written? It was agony to him. Do you like listening to the music you have made?
I like to listen to the music I've just finished. Someone just asked me, what's my favorite Calypso song I've written? So I said, I have my favorite children. you know, because they're like my children. So, but the one that I'm working on, getting 100%, that's the most important piece for me at this point in time. And then until something else comes up.
And I mean, are you satisfied with the songs that you have sung throughout your career? Is there a moment at which you say, that's done, that's correct, that's what I wanted to do? Or do you think listening to it now, is there a little wincing that happens? I mean, I can't imagine that there is.
There is both. Both of them are correct. Because, like something I say, that's what I wanted to say. And then there's sometimes I say, hear something I say, I should have, because I would have. There's a moment for that. There's some songs that I didn't have time to, enough time to become what it could be. But I still give it enough energy to have a certain standard, a certain quality. But sometimes I still listen and I say, oh, every time I hear something, I say,
yeah.
Happens sometimes.
But do you think, sometimes I think about this, I mean, as a filmmaker for myself, a creative work can take years to be born, like years to fully actualize. And I wonder if you see the Carnival calendar, that unrelenting every year, every year, every year. Is it a blessing or a curse in terms of releasing and creating and releasing new music?
It was a blessing at once when people used to kind of look forward to the album, the music, the songs. Now it's more like someone a particular song, like a tune. Like a tune for the Carnival, and so therefore everything else just disappears. It's almost like wasted because we live in a world now where if you could attract someone for 3 seconds, you've done really well.
Yeah.
And I say that because I put something out on Facebook some time ago, and it was like almost 175,000 hits. But when I look at the breakdown, like 160 something thousand, 3 seconds now. The soil, it's like it was quite interesting. But like for this to go beyond that and actually see what everything is all about,
Yeah.
So that's the world we live in,
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
It is interesting, because my husband and I recently, he bought a record player for me for Christmas. And at first I thought it was a little bit hipsterish. We're going to have a record player, and that's what the hipsters have. But then we started buying albums.
Yeah.
And by the way, we found a place where we can get Calypso records, which is just fantastic, in England, in Hastings, which is where we live right now. But when we started playing the records, I suddenly remembered the beauty of discovery that an album can offer.
Yeah.
Which is totally lost with Alexa and Spotify and iTunes. You go to the one song, you don't think of the creation, the vision that the artist had in mind. Can you speak to that? You must miss the days of the record and the CD.
Oh yes. So the CD still, funny thing, the CD still sells for me because when I do concerts, I work with CD. Sometimes it sells all,
Yeah.
And I'm talking about hundreds, so it's like there's still that generation who deals with CDs and so on. And there is now a new generation who is young people coming up who don't want to listen to anyone but vinyl. So that record there you have there is like eating right now. Everybody wants one now. That organic song. You don't get it on digital, But they hear the quick and they put on the
You do.
And then the song starts. I feel. Yeah.
It is a kind of magic that,
Yeah,
I mean, I hope, and you know, the thing is that, I mean, I feel this about photographs as well. With in the digital age, everything is so fleeting and ephemeral.
yeah,
Nothing lasts.
yeah,
Your computer crashes, you lose all your songs. I
yeah,
mean, you know,
yeah, yeah,
it's a very different time, and
yeah.
I think we've lost
And
things.
yeah, even this morning I was sitting 3, 4 in the morning. I was talking to Steve and listening to the music. And I think Michael France album, you know, and I said, but, you know, I haven't heard these songs in such a while because the song. What these tunes. So I said, how many people listening to that album today? This passed through my mind, so it's funny we don't talk about that.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, no, I feel like it's so important. I feel like
Yeah,
it's because when I was younger, my favorite songs were not the hits.
you know, a lot of people
My
are like that. Yeah,
Yeah, my favorite songs were the songs I discovered on the album that didn't actually,
yeah,
well, I mean, I love the hits too, but
yeah.
it was often a process of discovery. I listened to the album and I find my own way to what I loved, you know. Okay, so let's talk about go back to the question of inspiration. What sparks inspiration for you, David? And how do you know which spark to hold on to?
I'll give you an example. I did a song uh, of existence recently called "Is What," and
Mhm.
I the young people who made that rhythm track for it sent it to me. I said, well, I don't know whether I'm not feeling anything on this track. You know, it's songs that more like a music for a movie or something. And then 2 years later, Resistance passed away.
Yeah.
And I was playing the track and I said, "I think this is Resistance song." So it took 2 years, but it was like I wasn't rushing it. I just, as soon as I heard Resistance passed away, I heard the song. I said,
Yeah.
that's it. You know, that's how it takes a little while, but it's the right time. Make that
Mm.
connection.
And what about, I remember hearing you tell this story. I think my father asked you, we were in the car driving one day, and my father asked you something about writing Calypso music and how he'd heard that you'd written it in a very short space of time. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah. I would say that the ones that are really good come in less than 5 minutes.
I don't know what to say to that. I don't understand. I
Yeah,
cannot comprehend.
it's like you just started right and you're going crazy, and the song is done. You know, it's just to go and execute it now. So if a song is taking you like 6 months and it's not reached second verse, you know, it could take 6 months to gather information, and then one day watch it and say, "Oh, that is what the 6 months is all about," and then you do it in 5 minutes. You know, but good ones always quick
Mm.
for me anyway.
And so is it that, again, I mean, because I think for me personally, like there's a lot of percolating and processing that has to happen um, before. Is it that the 5 minutes happened because this was the space your mind had been occupying for a long time?
I think so.
Yeah.
I feel that sometimes you just gather information. That's why you get information, and then you say, what am I going to do with this? And then you feel something happens, and you hear two chords next to each other, and you say, those are the two chords I was waiting on for all the time. So now suddenly this is where the song is. This is the chord for the song, and you know it just builds itself.
Mm.
Yeah.
And is this an individual experience or collaborative experience, a process?
Mostly individualist.
Yeah.
And what happens though is when you do it, the musicians feel things too. feel, react to the things that you've done. And they get their 5 minutes too, you know? So you know, when everybody has it, like, I remember we did high mass. We just started tap, 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 tap. Where that come from, that guitar come, you know, it's like, it just seems like it just manifests, but it's part of the energy of the song itself. And something probably inside the soul that you recognize until that moment, you know. So,
and when it's happening, are you realizing it's special or?
Yes. When it does, everybody, you kind of, yeah. This is something. Yeah. And I told you back one, I remember the challenge was with Baya Gill. I said, this song is so strange. Don't be surprised if it do, but everybody laughed. Everybody laughed. It's so strange that nothing could touch it. That was that.
But David, I remember years ago, remember when Moon Over Bourbon Street still existed in Westmore? I remember, I'm showing my age here. I remember going to listen to you give a little concert. I think it was at Christmas time one year at Moon Over Bourbon Street.
Yeah, every year we used to do that.
Yeah, you used to do this really intimate concert. It was wonderful. Yeah. And we had friends visiting Trinidad for the first time from England. And one of the friends looked at me and said, "Are you supposed to learn these songs in school? Everybody knows every word." Like he couldn't every word of every song you sang. Did you think that would happen?
No, I just wanted to play music. And then I said, what have I got myself into? That's the first reaction, I guess, to 86. But I just wanted to play music and live comfortably, you know, which is the hard thing for musicians today.
Yeah, very hard.
But that's what it was, you know.
But then, I mean, when we were writing the description for this talk, one of the things, the words that came up was anthem. I mean, you've written so many anthems, David. Has that taken you by surprise? The way the public received what you were doing?
At first, yes. And then, you know, like after a while, you know, traveling, especially to the Caribbean, people, almost every island I enter is a welcome home, you know, and to achieve that kind of connection, you know, it's like you have to be doing something right, you know.
Yeah, I hear you. And so, tell me about Belmont and how Belmont shaped you as a person and as a creative person.
Well, Belmont shaped the whole of Trinidad. Because everybody in Trinidad passed through Belmont at some point. You know, I grew up behind me on the hill was the Shango Yard. Up on this next corner, the Rada Yard. We had about 18 bands, City Kids and Dixieland shared almost the same place. Just over the fence. One band was just over the fence. Lord Beginner was on the corner, right? 20 yards from Kids Park. And right opposite, 10 yards away on the other side of the street, lane I should say, was Edwin Roberts, the great sprinter. And then there was Jason Griffith, the mass man, Ken Morris, who I studied on. I was on the study for Ken Morris. So everywhere I turned in Belmont, there was like a creative energy, you know, that I couldn't find anywhere else. Everything happened in Belmont. I wrote a song about it, you know, something about the beginning. Belmont was like, it's like a movie, like a Hollywood movie, you know, every day. It's the amount of things that people take for granted. Like, if it wasn't for Belmont, for Freedom, as it originally was called. I don't know. I might have done something differently. I think it has keep influencing me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So in your music, David, you've always ranged widely in your subjects and references from sport to culture, music, politics, and not just at home, but internationally as well. Can you tell me about this?
Well, I just react to things that I read a lot, what the news, what people think, what people are going through, like Ukraine now. But I remember perfect example is that I was enthralled by what was going on in the Middle East. And I wrote this song called Jerusalem. And I remember I met a lady from Trinidad. My husband is a Palestinian. And when he heard that song, he wept, And then suddenly, people started to meet me and say, you have a song called Jerusalem? Yeah. I was just in Israel and I hear playing this song. And somebody said, then I was going to say, I was doing a thing with the UN in Palestine and playing this tune called Jerusalem. Right? And suddenly I started to get a package to come to Trinidad when we were in David Rudder, Trinidad. That was the address.
That was the address, David Rudder, Trinidad, and it got to you.
And then you drop it off, and inside was that kind of black and white headscarf that Yasser Arafat wore. Yeah. And they would send all kinds of things from Palestine. I have things at home, throw pillows, and people saying thanks for that song. Yeah. It never even manifested in Trinidad, but it affected people in a positive way in Jerusalem and in Palestine. Yeah. Palestine. To me, that's who could ask for anything more? That was the reason for that song. Yeah. It's beyond the boundaries of the Caribbean. It's about the world. Stories of the world. International. Yeah. That's why I say. That's why the album is called International Chanteur. The stories are just not just us and the Baba Green, but the entire world.
Asha Lovelace, who's Lovelace's daughter, she's a filmmaker, and we had her on a talk last year, and she said, we are citizens of the world, and we have as much of a right to tell stories as anyone else in the world. How do you respond to that?
Well, that's what I do all the time. Everything I write is a story about the world. I remember last year, I think it was, I wrote a song called The Immigrants back in about 30 years ago. And last year, the New York Times had it as one of the 50 top songs of the year. Someone did Van Dyke Parks, great American musician, he did a version. But the point is, this song that was 37 years old is now being considered as one of the 50 great songs of the year. And because every summer I go to New York in the early days, I would there was always a story, always some, whether it's Amadou Diallo being shot by 41 times, shot at 41 times, or Abner Louima being brutalized in the police station, which is what inspired the immigrants. Or Into the Night, so I would write all these songs every time an incident happens and I'm there inside the frenzy or the anger, the rage, everything that's going on. Some would manifest, and that's what you tell the story that you go along, I mean, there will probably be a million stories in Ukraine right now,
And so, like are you in terms of this idea of being a citizen of the world, are you and writing these songs, do you think at all about the audience? Is the audience of any concern to you, or are you, when you're creating, or?
I guess subconsciously, but I think it's just creating the song. All the audience deal with it, it's up to them. Whether it's in me or me. Because many times I found that A lot of people come and say, man, I ain't like that tune yet, but they have to tell you that they ask them. And then they'll come out and say, it knows how to kind of catch me. So I'm so accustomed to that. I just laugh.
The thing is with Trinidadians, so Trinis come and say, I ain't like that song too much, David.
It's really Trinidadians are comfortable in negative. So they greet you with a negative, like
Yeah.
they say, you're angry.
Yes,
there's an opening line.
Yes.
So we try on the negative because we're comfortable there, It's your partner meeting next one, you say, oh, hey, old dog. I thought there's a whole chapter yesterday, Always every level of I think Horace James was the one who pointed that out. It's affection, but that's how they do it.
Yeah.
Horace James said that.
Yeah. With me is like a put on weight. Like potatoes in England.
Yeah.
Like they feed in you well. Yeah, no, I totally hear you. So, David, you've been living primarily in Canada for some time now. Has this changed your relationship with Trinidad?
No, because I spent before the pandemic, I spent about half the year here. I used winter time I'm here for Canada. Then I'm here to do shows every so often. So I'm kind of it gives me a chance to actually see the society from a distance. I always say, if you're in it, you know to the wall. You might know something wrong here, but it knows up to the wall. But if you're 15, 20 meters away, then you can see whether it's a beautiful mural or something that we could correct it. You get a chance to kind of like look at Trinidad from different angle.
And so I'm talking now about Trinity to the Bone, because I listened to that today as well, and I nearly cried, but there are some lyrics in there that I think speak to the dichotomy that is Trinidad, and I'd love to hear your thoughts on it, which is, all these years I spent abroad in the cold, longing to be home, Trinity to the Bone. God, I pray that some sweet day I will no longer have to roam, Trinity to the Bone.
Right.
It strikes me as, yes, that dichotomy, which is that it's a place of enormous beauty and spirit and people and also heartbreak. Can you speak to that?
Well, the thing, first thing is that song was actually not written by me.
I know. I didn't say it was.
But what I did was I sort of give it my own taste, my look in,
Yeah.
I think this song originally was trying to capture a kind of paradise kind of society, and so my reality was that this is not what it is about, what people want it to be, but this is the reality. This is the real thing. So that's why I adjusted it to suit that kind of reality. But all the sugar can't be good for me. It's a heavy line because, like, you realize it's how should I say? Depending on this sweetness, but at the same time, don't be back of your mind. Can't be. So there's something wrong here. All the sugar can't be good for me. So even there's every line has its own effect and affected people. But it's like I put a line in there that says, but at the end of the day, nothing can compare to Trinity rising. That was like the pinnacle line that we kind of like hold it together. After we can explore emotionally how we feel about all the lyrics that pass that this one passed. That song was one of those rare, crazy moments of creativity that they try to do it again. Never works. it's
But how do you see Trinidad? I was reading a BC Peary's interview with you, and you said it was your home. And how do you see Trinidad?
Trinidad is home. Trinidad is a place of great promise. Have a kind of energy that I haven't seen anywhere else in the world, you know. And I'm talking about a kind of magic that people just kind of watch. And you know, you think about Trinidad it's a heavy place and it's a magical place at the same time. So you find that people will come here. Some people say, nah, I can't take this place. I can't get over here. And there are people come and say, I don't want to leave. I'll never leave here. You know? And that's the kind of thing that Trinidad has, that kind of thing where you kind of feel and joy, fascinated at the same time. And you kind of ask the question, is there really a place like that? Like Naipaul captured it, you know? Like, he captured it really. It's a kind of, I like the place, but I like the place, you know?
Yes.
And that, it catches Naipaul too, because he's the ultimate Trinidadian.
Yes, absolutely.
Ultimate Trinidadian. Everything. I remember 10, a certain Calypso, I don't call it any name, kind of drop a light, create a bacchanal, and back off and open a corner giggling and laughing at what he created, you know. And I said, that's Naipaul.
Absolutely.
Because I would back and tell you what happened.
Absolutely. I hear you. I totally hear you. I totally hear you. Yeah, no, it's very true. It is a place of magic, most definitely, you know. So I want to bring you to something that has been something that's been percolating in my mind for several years now, and I would appreciate your reaction to it. Although maybe now is not the best time, but I will sort of bring it up, which is that it seems to me that the business of Carnival, meaning big business Carnival, the big business of Carnival has flattened the cultural and creative landscape in Trinidad, so that the majority of our thinking about creativity exists in only the Carnival space, which particularly with fete and mass. What do you think about this?
That's the way of the world right now. You know, that's just the world. It's big business. It's I mean, the ultimate answer to that is Jeff Bezos made a rocket in the form of phallus. You know, take that only could take that as a person. You know?
Yeah, I hear you.
That's the word, you know. That's the word.
Mm-hmm.
Even today, they tried to shut up all the funds for the Russian billionaires. That's the reaction to people getting slaughtered on the ground, right? So it's all over the world like that. You know, it's about getting money. That's the main. You're not going to war. You're not going to do anything with everything. But you know, close down our back up. Because that's the way of the team. Yeah. And that's how the world works now.
You said to me years ago, I was interviewing you about Lord Kitchener. Oh God, this was, I don't know, 20 something years ago. And you said to me in that interview, you said, we all search for a beautiful thing. Do you think we still all search for a beautiful thing?
I do. And there are people who are searching for a beautiful thing. And there are certain people who just want to. That is what's going on. I need, you know, I always meet men who say, your boy trying nothing in the soca world. You know, I'm not saying, well, I'm a soca artist, I'm an artist the same. Your boy trying nothing in the soca business. You know, it's already kind of tarnished before it becomes
kind of a hustle.
A hustle, right?
Yeah.
That's the word. That's it.
Well, David, we're coming up for an hour. I know I said I would only keep you for 45 minutes, but we're coming up to an hour. And I just want to end on this question. You're going to be 70 next year. Am I right?
Yes.
And what's next? And are you satisfied?
I hope more creativity. That's a lot. Yeah. I started to paint and starting to get up into that. Still, I started to write, but it hasn't. I have to restart. You know, I have to restart that because I found even during the pandemic that I couldn't create. Maybe it was this silence was the cup was. Let's focus on other things. But maybe time I'll get up to that. But I have a lot more things to still contribute. So, as there's life, there's music and art, and vibration.
Yeah. I think that's it for today. Thank you so much, David Rudder, for participating and sharing in this TTFF talk. And enjoy your taste of Carnival. And what an honor it's been for me. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And keep tuned, keep watching, watch a movie on us on ttfilmfestival.com. So Soca and Shisamba and Too Young to Soca, 2 Banyan films are going to be playing till midnight tonight, TT time. And then we have the beautiful film Moko Jambi showing tomorrow. So enjoy your carnival, folks in Trinidad, and keep safe.